Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. My buddy Rhett. It is Saturday at 11:30, and I'm gonna do a use it or you lose it episode. Here's a rep of nut for Rhett. There you go, baby. So basically, use it or lose it is something that I do. I think it's important for us to talk about, for me to make videos, and for people in general to make videos where about things that they really believe and talk about them before they sort of become like no nos and you're not allowed to talk about it anymore. We do have a a built into our entire system is the freedom of speech, and it's in our constitution and all that. But obviously, things wane and they come and go, and if you don't actually use it, you will actually lose it. So, and a lot of times, if you could get enough conversation out there before something becomes outlawed to speak about, then um, they can't like put that genie back in the bottle. So I think it is important to talk about things. Now, I've been using AI for a while, and I heavily, and I like it. And there have been definitely times where I've found myself feeling extraordinarily vulnerable because of it, and there have been times where it just where the danger of it clearly is visible, but I don't think it's any close to as dangerous as like social media, for example. Um, and I think it is like when AI and social media sort of are interlaced that things can kind of get wacky or whatever. But I did want to say that years ago, me and my wife, we had a small business. It was called Melissa's Boutique, and it was a children's consignment business. And basically, the way it worked is people would bring in their kids' stuff, clothes, toys, cribs, furniture, that kind of thing, and they would sell it in our store, and we would split the gross 50-50. So it was like if it sold for $100, they'd get $50, we'd get $50. It's the way it worked, and it was pretty good. Now, our honestly, like our best employee, our some of our best customers were Walmart employees. Um, Walmart employees, for some reason, just really gravitated to the store. And we always felt like, man, we could open a store right next door to Walmart and like just live off of their employees, because Walmart employees like were paid pretty regularly, and they generally were very reliable, and they cared about their parents and the parents of their children, and stuff like that, and they knew how to recognize like quality from not quality, things like that. So they just ended up being really really good customers, and usually they're kind of tight on money, so all that. So there was a Walmart that was coming in up the road from us. It was, and they were building a strip mall, and we were like, oh, we should see if we can get in there. And so we talked to a really good salesman. I mean, the guy was very solid, good guy. Gave us lots of material. Was always available. I was very, very, very sharp, and he was. We were like, man, it was like $4,500 a month or something like that to go into one of their smallest store, and it was like, man, there's just no way. Like we don't do enough profit to be able to do that. And he's like, no, we're going to be business partners. You're going to be okay. Just feel free. You can sign up, and we will do a free $80,000 build out into your store to get it exactly a custom build out for you, so it's exactly the way you want it. And we can get you financing, and we can get you this, and you get you that, and you're going to be perfectly fine. Just trust us. And we were like, dude, the numbers don't work. Like, if we come in and we get a bunch of, we were a cash business at the time. We come in, we get a bunch of financing and all that, then yeah, we could stay a business and live high on the hog for like 2 or 3 years, but we'll collapse. He's like, no, no, because what you can do is you can open another store and get more financing, and you could have 10 stores. You could have stores across the country, all next to Walmart. So the whole country, you could be super rich before you know it with all that. And it was just like, oh my God, that's how business works. Like the vast majority of businesses are like, it doesn't make any sense. Like if you sat down and actually went over their numbers, they're basically like people who live off of credit cards. It's a pure finance liquidity thing. And I think that that system. So I was just talking to ChatGPT about it, and and it and I was telling ChatGPT that I thought that AI is just a scapegoat in all this. Like I've seen tons of software improvements that have changed everything. Like the way we do software today is so insanely different than the way we did software even 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. And um, this happens all the time. We get these massive blowups, and suddenly, like, the way it was done is completely done different. And suddenly, there's all this information that just wasn't there before. And suddenly, there's capabilities that didn't exist. There was a point in time when I remember the common thing people would say is like, whoa, there'll never be programming in the United States again because there's a billion English speaking people in India that can take every programming job that we can that we can produce, and that just didn't work out. And it's been up and down in programming, but I do think that the overall system is just unwinding. Like we've finally just gotten to where we just can't manage the interest and the debt, that whole system. Like all the money is getting sucked out of, all productive money is being sucked out of the economy just to service debt that is not doing anything. It has no muscle. We're an all fat economy. You put a dollar into the system and you get 0.001 cents worth of stuff out of it because all the rest of it is going into nothing, into creating nothing. And so, it just has become unsustainable. And I think that that is the problem. Of course, I hate how ChatGPT has kind of gotten to where it's become kind of a kiss ass lately. But this says, one of the things it says that I think is really well stated was, you're absolutely right. What we're saying is globally could be the slow implosion of that system. High interest rates, inflation, and shifting consumer habits are exposing which businesses were never truly viable, just propped up by cheap money. It's a reckoning, and yes, AI is being used as a scapegoat, often unfairly. I think unfairly is the whole point of a scapegoat, but it's convenient to blame something new and mysterious rather than admit that some jobs were fragile long before AI. I mean, I don't know that blaming the victim there. I don't. I'm not sure about that, but I don't think that's true. I think the jobs were like legitimate jobs. I just think that like the system that the jobs were doing jobs for was never viable. So it wasn't that, like, I think saying some jobs were fragile long before AI sort of implies it's the job, but I don't think it was the job. Then some companies were bloated, inefficient, or unsustainable. I mean, I would think that that's describes like literally 99% of companies. Um, Economy was overdue for a correction, sure. Um, and then yeah, and that AI probably does, like, I think this is a great point. AI accelerates some changes, but it didn't create the underlying instability. If anything, AI is just showing the math faster. Yeah, like you can just put all the math into the AI, and the AI can tell you, yeah, no, you aren't good. You don't. That company doesn't earn enough to sustain all their rent, utilities, all their costs, all and their debt. You know, like that's the thing is that, and I do think that a lot of people recognize this, but not many people are willing to admit it. And I think that we're sort of at that point, that inflection point where like saying, hey, the whole system is just sort of like was okay. There's nothing. The system is fine. The way people build set up finance, they were able to create like giant bonuses and things like that, and sort of kick the can down the road. And so, and then the whole idea is, I think they were kind of hoping inflation would get there. So like like right now, a lot of people are complaining about fast food being super expensive. It would be interesting on a burger at a fast food place to know how many cents of that burger is finance. And then like, you have like new businesses coming in and like mom and pop businesses, and they're like cheaper. And it's like, well, why can the mom and pop business be cheaper than the fast food place? The fast food place has all these efficiencies built in. So why would it be more expensive? It's like, well, because they're paying for massive amounts of debt, and that whole system is unwinding, and now everyone, but people are getting all like worked up about Chat GPT or AI, um, and it's just um, like like there was like there was this TV series that came out on Netflix called Anna, and basically these people in it wasn't the main topic, but like one of the arcs in the story was like this guy was able to raise like $10 million, and all he ever really had was a drawing that a designer created. Like he had a designer that was creating drawings, and the guy couldn't quite figure out. The guy that was raising the money couldn't quite figure out that. Like he legitimately just couldn't figure out that that designer wasn't creating an application. He was just creating a design. Like he just couldn't get that. And so he's sitting there selling this to all his rich friends and all his rich relatives and friends' relatives and stuff like that. Hey, I have this software. It's going to do all this stuff, and here it is. And it's like they're all like, "Oh, that's neat," and none of them know anything. They just have a bunch of money, and um, and AI can build out like um, really good prototypes that are interactive and stuff like that, but they don't quite work. Um, and that I think that's the situation we're in right now. So I think the thing that I'm saying is that like AI is the scapegoat in my personal opinion. I think the issue is that you know like big Fortune 500 companies are all like in so much debt that they just can't afford to pay for employees anymore. And even if that means that their products are going to get worse, or that their service is going to get worse, or that um, they aren't going to be able to sustain, like the they're not going to be able to deliver what they need to deliver, the services and the products that they need to deliver. Like they have no choice. They're out of money, and now like everything is so distorted now. They would need to like literally like the only thing they could possibly do is like inflate to where like uh, $1,000 is now worth $1. But the problem is that like our system has become so efficient at wasting money that like literally like here in Georgia, um, they gave one of the local, and I don't want to call out anybody or anything, because it's just like I don't think it is, like I think it's everybody, not there's no these aren't individuals. I think like the whole system is like they gave this person $2 billion, $2 billion, and a month later they had like 50 appliances to show for it, and it's um, like $2 billion just disappeared. It was just our system was able to just absorb $2 billion into nothingness overnight. So like, what would they have to create? Like $200 trillion just to kickstart the economy again, and then like the dollar that you have in your wallet is now worth like 1,000th of a dollar. Like you now for a $100 bill, you can go uh, buy a potato at the grocery store. It's just like the whole not the system of like creating, like having like capitalism and stuff. That not that the system of finance, the way we've just screwed it up. We've screwed it up, and now it's got to get unscrewed, and everyone's just blaming AI. At least that's my opinion. Um, and talk to y'all later. Happy coding. Bye.